Welcome to the Sykes & Company PA video blog featuring Ollin Sykes.
Ollin, in the past you've talked about the best business structures for new pharmacies. What are the updates for 2016?
In most cases where a pharmacy is either a startup or where assets are being purchased from an existing pharmacy, the LLC structure is typically the go-to mechanism for the pharmacy entity. Now, once the LLC is formed, you have options of how you will be taxed, because if you have a single member LLC, unless you elect either an S corporation status or a C corporation status, which you have that option, you'll have to report your income for that pharmacy on your Schedule C of your 1040, which is what you do not want to do. You will be audited probably 1 out of every 3 years, in some cases more frequently. The faster your pharmacy grows, the more income you have, the more often that will be. It's a headache. You can put that same amount of income into and make an S election on a single member LLC. Chances you've been audited go down dramatically. And that's really our go-to. Our go-to is making the S election on the LLC, whether there's one or multiple owners. In certain limited cases, you may be in a partnership form, but we typically don't like the partnership form on an LLC, which, by the way, if you have multiple members in an LLC, if you don't make the S election, you're by default a partnership. And you've got to file a 1065, and all the income is subject to Medicaid tax. So that's principally the reason we don't like the partnership form of business in an LLC, notwithstanding the fact that with a partnership or a general partnership, you may have some unlimited liability issues with the general partners that you may not have with the structure of an S corporation arrangement form of business. So as a go-to situation, that's typically what we look at first and foremost. In most cases, if you're leasing a property where the pharmacy is going to be located, and or if you're buying a property where you don't have to do a lot of improvements to that property, we sometimes would like to have that rental property in a separate LLC so that the rental real estate is outside the operations of the pharmacy operation inside the LLC that's taxed as an S corp. Now, in certain cases, and I'm dealing with one right this minute, where there's a group of pharmacists that are forming a brand new startup pharmacy. They have built a magnificent structure right across the street from a big box national retailer. They spent a fair amount of money in putting this structure up. There are actually benefits for putting that structure inside the LLC taxes and S corp for the pharmacy. Those benefits, I'll just mention you briefly, are cost segregation studies that can be made. And with cost segregation studies on the construction of that facility, you can break down pretty dramatically and rapidly increase the amount of depreciation that you can take for the first 5 to 7 years versus what you'd otherwise have to do it if you had that property located in a separate LLC, maybe taxed as a partnership. So there's not an automatic on how to handle the properties depending on whether you're going to have improvements, whether you're going to build a facility, whether you're going to lease a piece of property. But the operation of the pharmacy itself, again, our go-to is an LLC taxes and an S corp. As always, there are exceptions. You've got to look at each case separately on its own. You've got to look at what the needs, wishes, and wants are for the investor owners, what they're looking at doing, what their plans are, 3, 5, 7 years out, before you can really make a final determination.
Thank you for joining us today. If you want more information or have any questions, please feel free to contact Ollin directly.